It's time for Gen 9 Little Cup. In Little Cup, you only get to use Pokemon at level 5, and they all must be Pokemon that can evolve into a different one. So, in this generation, since Girafarig has gotten an evolution, Girafarig is now available to be used in the Little Cup tier. So today we're going to try out using Girafarig in Little Cup, as well as Ghastly, which was previously banned in Little Cup tiers. Finally, we're going to put in Mashift to see if the dog can put in some work. Overall, I'm pretty excited to get into Little Cup. If this is your first time seeing Little Cup, stick around. It's a lot different from OU. And stick around to the end of the video to hear my thoughts about the current state of Little Cup, as well as my thoughts on this team. Alright, let's get into this first game. So looking at my opponent's team, they have, it looks like, all new Pokemon except for Bonsly and Girafarig. You can tell that because those are the only sprites that are moving. Now Girafarig, of course, is going to be the main question on my mind in today's live. Is Girafarig busted, or is it going to be mediocre? And Bonsly is going to have Sturdy, so getting up Stealth Rock will definitely help with that. However, the Bramblin, I believe, has Rapid Spin, so we'll have to look out for that. I do have Ghastly, but in terms of a Rapid Spinner blocker, it blocks Rapid Spin, but it's also a Ghost type, so I don't necessarily want to go into it with impunity. Wiglet is interesting because it does have that really fast speed tier. One thing I do notice is that they don't have a ground immunity or an electric immunity, aka ground type. So I'm just going to go into Magnemite here, and here I can just Volt Switch. And they've lost the Wiglet turn 1. Well, look at that. It looks like my opponent forfeited. Turn 1. So Choice Scarf Magnemite has been a decent set. I'm not sure exactly how decent, but you gotta look out for that. Because just because you think you're faster than your opponent, that's not always going to be the case because of the Choice Scarf item. Alright, good. We got ourselves another game. Okay, so once again, the Girafarig, everybody wants to load that up. They've got both Ghosts. Actually, I didn't even know that Misdreavus was allowed in this tier. I wasn't looking at that. Ghastly, of course, was banned last generation. And Ghastly has always been one of the best Little Cup Pokemon, even when it is allowed. Mudbray is a decent rock ground type to set up Stealth Rock, as well as to tank physical hits. Bronzor is an interesting Pokemon. I don't know what that wants to do. And Axew usually is not a very good Pokemon. But you still have to respect it nonetheless. They do have a ground type, so I will have to watch out for that. You know what I want to lead off with actually is Mashift, because looking at their team, they have a bunch of Ghost types, Psychic types, and nothing that wants to switch in on this. So I'm going to go for Payback here. Payback, I believe, is stronger than Crunch. Yeah, and there goes the Misdreavus. So that's cool. I like that. Got the Eviolite, so I live the hit, and a Mashift is a big tanky boy. Now, of course, it's not like the best thing, but I think I can save this for the Bronzor, and if this comes in as the Bronzor, it will get a kill. Against just about everything else, though, it probably will not. If they go into Mudbray, that could be something I want to stay in on still. Just because I don't really have anything that wants to deal with this, and I want to get damage off on it. So this is why we have Crunch, and we have the Payback, because if I go first, I want to be able to get off as strong of a move as I can. Alright. Now, looking at my opponent's team, I could go for Flash Cannon, but that allows Bronzor to come in. If I go into my Girafarig, that also allows Bronzor to come in. So I don't necessarily like that. If I go into my Ghastly, though, I think Shadow Ball should do enough. So let's just double check that. Mudbray, Stealth Rock, sure, why not? And then Ghastly. Little Cup. Which set am I? I have a Berry Juice. So this here should be good. Shadow Ball at -1 Spadef. The 62% minimum. That is a nasty roll. But I'm going to have to go for it, I think. Fortunately, we do have Levitate. Okay, we got it. We do have Levitate, so it's not like they can hit us with that anyway. Okay. So now here's the problem. I can't touch it outside of going for terastallizing, but I've chosen to go for the Terra type of fighting because I felt like that would be useful against dark types, but like Pawnyard specifically. But the Girafarig is a psychic type. I don't want to turn into a fighting type. So what do I go for here? I think I go into Magnemite, if I'm not mistaken, as they go for Calm Mind. Now, if I had Trick, that would be fantastic, but I don't. I'm just going to have to go for Thunderbolts here and get off as much damage as possible and then finish it off with Diglett, I think. I did a lot of damage. First of all, I did 50%. Okay, looks like my opponent is Rest. That's an interesting set. I'm going to go into Mankey here. And I'm going to... I'm just going to close combat here. Okay. Looks like they are early bird. So early bird means that they wake up earlier by 1 turn. But I think I'm fine with that. Looking at how much I did last time, I might be able to get away with going into Magnemite again. But I think I'd rather go into Diglett. Because Diglett will still kill. Or at least it should kill. And I don't want to risk that roll. Also, Diglett has Arena Traps, so I can trap the Girafarig, and I can't switch out and try this again later against maybe my Ghastly when it comes back in again. So I think that's a stronger play. It does allow their own Ghastly to come in theory, but they also don't know what set I have. So I think that's fine. I do have Focus Sash, but I don't have Beat Up or anything like that. So I have to decide what I want to do now. I think I'm going to go into my own Girafarig here. As they go for Giga Drain, I am Sap Sipper, so you cannot do that for me. Cool, yeah. No, I think Sap Sipper is a better ability on Girafarig. It allows you to avoid Spores and Giga Drains and things like that. So obviously, I don't think they were predicting me to go to Girafarig there, because if they had gone for Shadow Ball, which they should have done, I think, personally. Because if I'd gone Magnemite, that also wouldn't have done anything. But if they were predicting me to go Girafarig and they'd gone for Shadow Ball, I wouldn't have done anything. So maybe you say they were going for Giga Drain. But more likely, I think my opponent just saw a ground type in front of them and decided to click the Giga Drain, even though that didn't really help them out against the rest of my team. But I was Focus Sash anyway. So if I had something like Beat Up or Rock Slide, I still could have gone for it if I had wanted to. And imagine if I had clicked Sucker Punch there. That would have been pretty bad for my opponent. But we weren't going to risk them going for Substitute. So that's fine. Let's see if we can get another game. So far, the team is doing a decent amount of work. Like, Mankey sort of got obliterated by the Girafarig, but there's not much I could do against that simply because the early bird. And the early bird wasn't something I was necessarily expecting, because I feel like you shouldn't be running early bird, but it was fine. Okay, so this team is interesting. They've got a Magic Bounce user, as well as Pawnyard, which is probably the only good mon on their team. Azrael, you have to respect it because it's got the huge power ability, but otherwise, Azrael is not really that strong. They seem to have Sticky Web, so that could be a problem. But I also have Defiant on my Mankey, so that could be interesting as well. Now, looking at my opponent's team, what do they do if I go into my Girafarig here? And now I go for Psychic here. Oh, they won't even Focus Sash. What the heck? Alright, now I'm going to Terastallize into a fighting type. The Sucker Punch me does nothing, now they're dead. Good. And so now you can see why I decided to go for the fighting type. Now, unfortunately, because I don't have Hyper Voice, I'm actually going to need to switch out here. But that's fine. Now they go for that. Sure, whatever. Now we just go for Flash Cannon here. The Azrael is a Fairy type, and a normal type, so it should not be switching in on me like this. It did, but I can still prevent it from going for Belly Drum, which is the main thing. So I got its Berry Juice back, but if I Flash Cannon here, it will not be able to Belly Drum, like you see right there. So they can Aqua Jet me all they want. I am not sturdy, so I'm not particularly fussed about that. I'm actually curious as to what this is supposed to do to me. I don't know what it's supposed to do. I don't actually know what Strudel gets. Do I want to switch out here is the question. And I think my answer to that question is yeah. I'm going to go Mastiff because I don't really want it against Mudbray and Hatena. Yeah. Now I'm going to go for the Payback because this is going to outspeed me. Ooh, Gunk Shot. Scary. Alright, I think I'm going to actually waste these screen turns is what I want to do. I can go Diglett here. I have the Focus Sash. And now I can just go for Earthquake. They go for Knockoff. They're dead. Yeah, and at this point, I don't really feel like they have too much on their team that threatens me. I wonder, they should outspeed me at this point. I'm not sure though. I guess not. They do get the defense boost, which is a bit unfortunate. But it is what it is. I do have Ghastly. But as we saw before, that is not a... Like, depending on what they have as an item, I don't want to go hard into it. I don't think Earthquake should hit Girafarig that hard. So I'm going to go for Psychic here. And I actually outspeed them, which means that they don't have any speed investment. Okay. That's fine. They can stay and do all they want. The Light Screen, which is a bit annoying, but at this point they are... Ooh, Healing Wish. I was not expecting Healing Wish. Alright. I can dig it. Okay, yeah, so that's fine. Let's see. I want to waste as many screen turns as I can. So I'm gonna go Magnemite. Then I'm gonna go into Ghastly. I just want to see. Yeah, okay, good. Then I go Mankey. I actually get a Defiant boost on my Mankey, which is pretty crazy. I go for Iron Head, so they do have something to touch my Ghastly. And then I can just close combat here as they go for Iron Head again, sensibly. And then I'm going to go Magnemite here. I will outspeed because I'm Choice Scarfed. And I need to go for Flash Cannon, obviously. It's the only thing I can go for. As they go for Iron Head, predicting me to try to waste more screen turns, but at this point I don't need to do that. Now we go Ghastly and we have Levitate. And as we saw last time, Shadow Ball. Oh, they're bulkier set. But they don't kill me with Iron Head, and I have Berry Juice. Okay, good. So we successfully stalled the screen turns. So if I could go back and change something, maybe I would go back and try to kill the... What the heck is this thing's name? Is this Tarantula? How do you pronounce that? Tarantula. That's right, because it's round and tarantula. Okay, Tarantula. Good. I would have tried to kill the Tarantula turn 1. The reason I didn't go for that turn 1 was because I figured it would be Focus Sash. Why wouldn't you be Focus Sash? If you're going to be a lead set, you should be Focus Sash. And I wanted to see if I could get it set up and sweep right away. I wasn't thinking about the Hatena and my lack of Shadow Ball. And in fact, this is the second time where having no Shadow Ball has actually been a detriment to me. So I'm going to change this to Shadow Ball right now. I was thinking Agility would be nice in case I need to outspeed like a Diglett plus a Ghastly in the end game. But I think it's better to have Shadow Ball, just given that against Hatena, against opposing, against Ghastly, against opposing Girafarig, I don't know what the heck you're supposed to do. Actually, what can you do against opposing Girafarig? Any moves you got here? Hyper Voice doesn't help you. What? Well, maybe Hyper Voice would be better. Let's see. Yeah, let's try Hyper Voice instead. I think because Ghastly is covered by Psychic, Hyper Voice is for opposing Girafarig and Hatsune, yes. Okay, Hyper Voice it is. Hyper Voice it is what we're going with. Alright. So far we're 3 for 3, but we're at the bottom of the ladder, so that's to be expected. Another Azrael game. That's sort of funny. And then they've got the Watch Roll, which is cool. I don't know what that wants to do. I've been seeing a lot of it in VGC with the Tailwind, so they may be trying to do something there. I think here I actually might want to lead with the... I'm going to lead with Mashup again. They don't get to set up really against Mashup with much, except for maybe the Azrael. And if they lead with the Azrael, I'm going to regret leading with this guy. Oh, look at that. Okay. I'm going to click the... Well, I think I'm just going to click the payback. What the heck? I don't understand what just happened there. Alright. Well, I crunch. Okay, I don't understand what just happened to turn 1 and 2. First of all, can we just acknowledge that the Azrael terrestrialized into a dragon type against a dark type when you were a fairy type to begin with, so you had better typing for me. Also, the Mashup outsped, which I guess now that I look at it, Mashup does outspeed, so I should have clicked Crunch from the get-go. So that would have been a bit of a misplay on my part. And it was Eviolite, not Berry Juice, which I think is a misplay on my opponent's part. Definitely should have been Berry Juice. So if I had a Psychic Fangs turn 1, I might have won. Or maybe I wouldn't have one-shot. I don't know. Let's Psychic Fangs here. I don't know why my opponent has Life Orb. Fake Out on this Landit. That's cool, I guess. It's the Fire Blast. Alright, so the Mashup has gotten 2 kills so far. This doggy doesn't mess around. I like this dog. It reminds me of the 90s. Alright. Finally, we're going to Fire Fang. I don't really need this anymore. It doesn't live anything. Not even a Sucker Punch, apparently. So that's fine. Here, we're going to go into Girafarig. And I'm going to Terra Blast. It's a bit predictable, I'm not going to lie. And by bit predictable, I mean it's extraordinarily predictable. Misdreavus has 19 speed, which outspeeds Ghastly. I could terrestrialize a Nasty Plot in theory. It could be that my opponent doesn't know what Girafarig wants to do. Good, good, good. We just Terra Blast and it dies. This is something I think that a lot of people will hopefully get used to once terrestrializing becomes more of a thing. Alright, I think Psychic is my strongest move. Hyper Voice is stronger, technically, in case they set up a substitute. But why would you do that? I don't know. Okay. Misdreavus comes out. Fair enough. Don't really need to keep this around. I don't... Well, it does outspeed Watch Roll. I actually sort of want to sack the Minky as they click Protect. What the heck? Alright, I don't understand that. But, hey, I'll take it. Yeah. Because now they Nasty Plot, which is cool, I guess. I'm gonna have to go Diglett here, I think. And I'm gonna Sucker Punch. The problem is they do have Levitate. And so if they have Substitute on this, then that could be a major problem. My Ghastly does not have Sucker Punch, which is maybe a bad idea on my part. Maybe instead of being Terra Blast, I should be Sucker Punch? I'm actually really surprised that Misdreavus is in the tier, and that's the reason why I was not prepared for it. I guess I could have looked at the list, but normally Misdreavus is banned because it's a little bit too strong for most metagames. As we can see, that does a good chunk there. Now we have to outplay the rest of the Sucker Punches, because they may try to set up again to dodge a Sucker Punch, as they do not, which is fair enough. At this point, let's quickly see the calcs. I could have definitely Sucker Punched again, and maybe I should have. But here we are. Alright, Eviolite, except I'm not Eviolite, I'm Focus Sash. And we're going to put in Misdreavus, which you can see normally doesn't even get to be in Little Cup. So we got to put level 5 here. Level 5. And I'm going to put Eviolite and Sucker Punch. 45 to 55, which is within... Well, actually, it did 43%, which is not within range. So it has to have like some HP or something. Yeah, if it has like max HP, whatever that happens to be. Obviously 252 is wasted, but yeah, so it has to have some HP then. So let me look at Magnemite. And we look at Little Cup Choice Scarf. And Flash Cannon does not kill this set. So I'm going to go Magnemite here. I'm going to Volt Switch. If they have Volt Absorb on the Watch Roll, they can go into that. But that's fine by me. I can go into Girafarig now and sack that if I so desire. Actually, I think... I forgot. I was going to sack Mankey. Yeah. And it's a lot safer to sack Mankey now. Because... at this point... I have things that speed Watch Roll. I don't need it anymore. I forgot I was going to sack it. That's fine. That's fine then. That's fine. The Misdreavus used Hyper Voice. Very interesting choice of moves. Why don't you have Shadow Ball on your Misdreavus? I don't get that. Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon time. So the Watch Roll gets its Wind Power boost. So this actually could be a bit of an issue. I am analytic though, so if it goes for Tailwind, then in the subsequent turn I should be doubled in power because it'll go first. I am also an electric type, so I will resist all their moves as they go for Terra Blast and forget to Terrastalize. I don't know what, if they were Terra Ground maybe, then that could have been a problem. And I guess I didn't think about the Terra Ground. That would have definitely been an issue. Alright, but I did have the Girafarig and the Ghastly in the back, so they couldn't really Terrastalize, kill me, and go for the Tailwind, right? Because you either go for the Tailwind, don't Terrastalize, and then I guess you'd have to Terrastalize in the subsequent turn? Man, that would have been a really crazy endgame if you had gone for Tailwind, gone the Wind Power boost, then Terrastalized in the subsequent turn into Terra Ground, killed me because I was analytic. Maybe they were thinking that I was sturdy, and if I'd been sturdy, then they wouldn't have been able to kill me in one hit anyway. And maybe they were thinking I just need to break their sturdy, and then I'll Terra Ground to the next turn. That might have been what they were thinking. But yeah, cool. Yeah, Girafarig is a problem. I think that it's pretty strong, but not necessarily the strongest. Looking at it, it has a pretty decent speed tier, and I think that might be what sets it over the edge. If you run Timid Girafarig, you can hit 19 speed, which is really good. However, if you compare that to previous generation, you get Ponyta, Galarian Ponyta specifically, and then you say, well, how does this compare to Galarian Ponyta? Well, I think a lot of that will depend on, one, if Terrastalization stays in the Little Cup tier, which I don't know if it will or not. Little Cup is always its own beast, and I don't know if it takes cues from OU so much. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I'm not paying attention to their threads or anything, so I don't know what the discussion looks like right now. But this reminds me a lot of Ponyta, just with a secondary stab, and then when you Terrastalize, you can get a tertiary stab, which is really, really useful. Although we will see in this game and some of the previous ones, as soon as I went to fighting type, now Misdreavus and Ghastly can hit me. So it's actually sort of a double-edged sword. So if I go Pawniard, force you to go for your Terra Fighting, now you've lost your Ghost immunity. Now I can beat you down with my Ghastly. Now I can touch you with my Misdreavus. Now, of course, if I had been running Timid Girafarig, then I would have hit the speed tier. That would have been a speed tie with the Misdreavus, and I would have outsped Ghastly. So maybe actually running Timid Girafarig is preferable. Maybe make that adjustment if you want. But you do lose a bit of power. I don't remember why I decided to go with Modest. I may have done a calc back when I built this team. I forget. Mankey didn't get to do too much, unfortunately, but the Little Cup tier still got gutted for fighting types. And I thought, Little Cup, you always need a fighting type. I looked at my options, and Mankey was the best option from previous generations, except for maybe Riolu. And I didn't really feel like having Riolu, so I went with Mankey. But I'm not sure how I feel about it right now. And then Mashiv actually wasn't bad. Definitely didn't help that my opponent in this game didn't do so hot. But in terms of the Ghastly, Misdreavus, and the Girafarigs running around, Mashiv actually isn't a bad Pokemon. And Stakeout is not easy to switch into. So yeah, overall, pretty fun team, pretty fun video overall, and I'll catch you guys next time.